some of the first species that emerged in Baltic Sea as we know it today is probably our key species, that is bladderwrack, that is eelgrass, cod, herring, for instance. So those are probably among the first. Yeah, some people call bladderwrack the nursery of Baltic Sea because there's many fish tend to hide in the bladderwrack from other predatory species when they are small. The bladderwrack also provides small fish with food because there's a myriad of shellfish, like small mollusks and other invertebrates living on the bladderwrack. Some of them eat filamentous algae, keeping the bladderwrack clean, but then if we have too little filamentous algae, they also eat the bladderwrack itself, and if there's too many of these, then they will eat the bladderwrack. So again, as also like example on why the balance of the system is so important. Bladderwrack is fairly good to adapt, but there are other problems with the bladderwrack. For instance, it doesn't like warm water too much. The salinity is also putting stress on it. And we have eutrophication. There are other species that are actually more adapted to eutrophications. For instance, filamentous algae that can suffocate the bladderwrack. In the Baltic Sea we have two kinds of herrings. Some spawn in the spring, some in the fall. And herrings in the Baltic Sea that are spawning in the fall are more closely related to the Atlantic herring than the spring spawning herring. So, I mean, the genetics are sometimes a bit strange. Herring, for instance, is a fish that forms large schools and so forth, and they probably display some of the same behavior features as the perch. Also cod and so forth. I think it's kind of probably some things are universal when it comes to fish, and also fish that tend to be not that interested in things tend to live longer because shy individuals are not that likely to get close to predators. Some species can live here, but they can't reproduce. The conditions we have here are a stress factor, and the stress factors tend to affect the genetics. If you have a species that doesn't need to sexually reproduce, then you also have an advantage in that sense. Eelgrass, for instance, is another famous example. We have here in Åland like 1,000-year-old clones of eelgrass. So a whole eelgrass medal can be basically the same individual that has been cloned over and over again. So it gives the species an alternative way of reproducing, because in the case of eelgrass, they also can produce flowering plants. They are the only true vascular plant and true marine vascular plant in the Baltic Sea. When it comes to jellyfish, they are probably one of the species that will prevail even if everything else goes bad in Baltic Sea. Jellyfish and cyanobacteria.